to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I promised the chief I would put him on first. Even though he's in no hurry, we'll still put him on first. As we know, the governor sent down a reform of the police department. What would you call it? The police department reforms?
Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative.
Okay. So I thought we'd get us, we got until April, I understand. And I just thought we'd get a start on it. You can maybe let us know which way you're going to tackle the program and what kind of help you need from us, whether it be personally or financially from the town board.
I guess I can stand, right? So, good to see everybody for the first time in a while. So,
It's picking up all of those links, but not this one.
Bottom right side.
Thank you.
All right, chief.
so I don't think there's anybody in this country that's not horrified by what they saw in Minneapolis, right? Anybody who treats a human being like that, obviously, has to pay the consequences. With that, New York State has finally enacted some reforms. It's a long time coming. I don't think there's anybody that believes that we shouldn't be having these reforms. With that, with the governor signing what's going to be done in New York State and the president signing some reforms, it's going to change things for us as a whole. I really don't see any problem with any of the reforms that the governor's come out with. Some of the other stuff, the repeal of 50A, some other things, I have my personal opinion on that. But the things that they're asking the police department to do are really going to be more or less cost us money and training and time. And even whether we're a small police department like the town of Highlands or the New York City Police Department, we're all going to have to follow the same rules. And what it charges is basically government, police chiefs, and stakeholders working together. So we engage our community to make it a better place. Now, we don't have any incidents of violence here. We don't have any incidents of any kind of civilian complaints, any heavy-handedness, anything to that. But we're going to put everything in play. So what we're going to do, and what we've already started to do, is to look to see where we can start. One would be our use of force policy, which we've already updated. We're going to be removing some items as well, because we have in our policy the duty to intervene. So if an officer sees something, they can intervene, obviously. So, for example, in Minneapolis, where those officers should intervene and put an end to what was going on. I don't see any problems with any of those situations here, but we have to train police officers from the beginning. And what we're going to do now is everybody's going to be on the same sheet of music. As I wrote some in the email, there's some other items that had come out that we have to start to look at. Sergeant, the implicit bias training, the restorative justice training, community policing. So I already put a message out to our members to say, listen, you could be the people that go to National Night Out. You could also be the same people who go to the schools. You know, if there's something that you think is beneficial, some items to engage the community, we can look into that. It's kind of vague for us. We know we have to be ready to go in April, and I'm quite sure we will be. We met last week, the chiefs met about getting some of the training. We already got some of the training up and running. So that would be 8-hour blocks of training. The good thing in town of Highlands, we also have one of those instructors, so we can do our group training as well. So we're starting out, baby steps for everybody. The chiefs are very good. Our district attorney is great. He's offered the fact that he would buy the body cameras, and that's a great thing. I'm okay with that. You know, if you wear a camera, you just gotta own what you do, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. You shouldn't be afraid to have a camera on. The problem, of course, is storing all the information. So I've already talked to New Windsor IT about that. You know, whether it's our 4 cameras or someone else's 25 cameras, we still have to have storage. And, you know, can we handle that kind of computer expense? So, you know, there's a few other things that have come out, some legislation, obviously, about taking care of prisoners to make sure they have medical treatment. We already do that. Looking at prisoners to see if they need some kind of mental health treatment. We have great programs in the county. It's just gonna be now getting the officers on the page to say, okay, this person to me has some issues, let me make a phone call, and then document it. Some of the other stuff is that, obviously, chokeholds, gone, they'll completely be out of our policy, there's no kind of restraint around the neck, the windpipe, gone out of our policy. I think it's a long time coming. It's unfortunate that it took something in another state for us to start making our way. I applaud some of the reforms, and I think it's gonna be tough for us in the beginning, but I think as we start to change our culture as a police, I think we're gonna be better off for these reforms. So I'll keep you posted every step. Where, like I said, we've done some of our training already, like our use of force policy has already been done, and we've already done our training at range. But now we're looking at what can we do for the community policing end of it, and the procedural justice, and the training that's going to be starting now on Wednesdays at different locations throughout the county for the next 4 months, so we start to get our officers in that training. And then we'll engage our community. So I think we'll have a good plan, probably by the end of the summer, of how we want to engage our community. Do we want to meet quarterly? Do we want to meet monthly? What's the concerns of the community and the stakeholders? How can they assist the police, just like the police would assist them? So I think it's going to be a challenge, but there's no doubt we'll get it done.
Okay.
Chief, I was just wondering, when I was listening to the governor, I thought he wanted us to come up with a plan first before we start, and once the plan is approved, then
That's
then we
correct.
start the
Well,
training.
we already have the training going, so our plan can be, we can start getting our officers into training now, and then we can write our plan, and our plan would be that we would have so many officers in this kind of training, all the officers in that kind of training, so we're starting now, right, with the training.
But the plan has to be approved.
Oh, yes, sir, yeah, definitely, it's gotta be approved.
Who's gonna, is that gonna be drafted by the county?
No, well, the chiefs, we talked as a whole, and then we would come up with some kind of a plan, and then tailor it to our communities. And then present it to the community with the stakeholders in the community, elected officials, and present it as a group. If we have to adjust accordingly, we will. I don't think anybody's gonna have everything done by April, but we have to have a plan in
So
effect.
if the plan is approved, we'll still be qualified for the
Oh, yes, sir,
funding.
that's our understanding.
And that's what we don't want to lose, and then we can make
That's
all the
correct.
changes.
We met on June 11th at the police academy, decided, let's get the training going right away.
Good.
We have some instructors. But yeah, our plan will be written for those disciplines, make sure those disciplines are approved, ready to go. And it's new to all of us, whether it's the city of Newburgh, which is larger than the town of Highlands, but we're gonna tailor it to our communities.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Questions? Richie, Ty?
Top of your game.
No, listen, I'm going to just commend you all for, in my opinion, being an example. You came in the door once you got hired as the chief, instituting training. And I think that has paid us dividends, and we just got to continue to go that direction. I think the trained force will be an effective force, right? Sometimes it's either a lack of training or people deviating from what the standard is. So I think you got it under control, Chief, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, now, Chief, the way I understand what you're saying is, between you and the police chiefs and the county, you're going to come to us, I guess, with a plan. This is our plan
I
for
will
the
come
town
to
of
the
Highlands.
plan for the town of Highlands, but we'll all work together.
Okay.
And that's what we decided in our June 11th meeting. We have these trainers in effect, let's start the training now. Some of these departments have already done some of this training based on the makeup of their communities, where in this community we might say, oh, we might not have really needed that type of training, but let's go to something else. So yeah, we're gonna start the training, we already started working on the plan, we're getting the feelers out from the officers. Not everybody wants to be involved in community policing, but maybe 2 or 3 folks do want to be, and they would be the people that we'll put out there. They would be the ones that will engage the community. Those would be the ones that, as the stakeholders come in and maybe, the program is up and running, they will reach out to that officer and say, hey, this is what's going on in the community, and they can work it up the chain. So it gives everybody an opportunity to be part of policing in the community.
So I will anticipate that well before April, we'll have something.
Oh, yes, sir. I'm saying by September, our whole plan will be done.
Great.
Based on, the summer months, but and not to say it's not going to be changed around, but then we'll have to get the community involved, and we'll sit down with them, just because what I wrote is going to be everybody in the community being involved as well. You know, different organizations, church groups, you know, anybody who wants to be involved. So we would hold those engagement meetings,
Right.
and we speak to people and hear what they have to say.
That's why I got you in tonight, is we're just hit right on, you know, as quick as we can go with this.
Yeah, we hit the ground running. You know, like I said, we spoke about it last week. You know, there's 3 trainers right now, and we have one of them. So if we had to do a department-wide training, we pick a day instead of trying to get everybody in different locations. So right now, we're at the IBW Harriman, we're in the Crawford, and we're in Otisville. So it's kind of close to everybody, and then we can have our instructor come in, and we can do our department on a specific topic that's required.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Anything else, guys? Thank you very much,
Welcome,
Chief.
sir.
Thank you. Jeff, I asked you here tonight because there are 2 of your personnel that are way over on hours. And we're actually going to have to, I checked with Justin on this, pay overtime. We just don't pay overtime. There's no department other than highway department. We're not, but if they got over 40 hours, we have to pay overtime on the extra 8 hours. So what I'm going to ask you is, these 2 gentlemen and everybody else in the Corps, they're limited, the paid ones, to 29 hours. That's it. And I don't know if that's going to create a problem, but if it is, it's a problem. Pardon me?
I guess we can see how we can do this.
Okay.
Because, June, end of June and July, we're going to lose 2 of the people in. And most people are not really stepping up. The ones that we have in the pool are already working. Because they're allowed to get the X hours because of cold.
I mean, as much as I hate to say this, but if you don't have personnel, then we're going to have to look for Cornwall or whoever to cover us. But we got to stick to the 29 hours. If we don't do 29 hours, then the next thing you know, we're going to be giving them the medical benefits.
Yeah, that, both of them are covered. So, maybe I can meet with you and talk about proceed with this.
Board have anything to say on this?
I mean, obviously, we live in an era of fiscal constraints, so I think you're taking the prudent approach. And then we just have to sit down and figure it out, and if I need to weigh in on that, then by all means, we'll meet as soon as possible.
I'll tell you, you're liaison to them. See if you can work with Jeff and
Okay.
come up with a plan. Yes?
Maybe we could get the list again from the county of EMTs. See if you're sure, maybe we could canvass the list again and see if we can get more people on there.
Do you get the
There's a
list?
pool. I would have to request the list. There's
Okay.
a pool.
Yeah, there's a pool, but there's not many people on. Like I said, the current ones that are on our list happen to be already working. And with COVID, they are actually allowed to work more hours. And that's basically what we do to cover our shifts. So we can sit down and talk about it.
Okay. That's all I got for you, Jeff. I mean, I appreciate you coming tonight.
So you don't hear about the ambulance or?
Pardon me?
He had some report too as well, so since he's here, he...
Oh, yeah. Fine, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The new ambulance, I know,
Don't tell me 3 weeks.
I actually made a joke to Todd about it.
Yeah,
that if I
that's the one note I was gonna say.
The supervisor would say, yeah, I heard that for the last 6 weeks. Anyway, we are close to getting it. It's up in New York. It's not in Long Island anymore. So Tom is doing his spot check. Probably we're gonna go up probably this week and do our spot check, and then it should be ready to go.
Okay. And as I mentioned to you, I'm going to be firm on this. It's going to be 100% complete or they don't get paid.
Correct.
They can deliver it, but if it's not 100% complete, they're not getting paid.
Well, it won't come down here until that is done.
Okay.
So, that's our point.
Got anything else to tell us while you're here?
No, I was gonna talk to you, but I guess I'll set up a meeting with Ty and go over what we need on specific needs.
Good.
Meet with Kelly and find out if there are any people in the pool that can cover. I don't know what else to do.
Yeah, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, if you can't get the help, and we can't just overpay the other people, it just
Okay.
doesn't work. Legally, just can't do it. Legally, we can't do it. I mean,
Jeff, just curious because I don't associate with the ambulance corps a lot. Not because I don't choose to, but because I'm busy taking care of a sewer plant. But what's your membership right now?
As far as the EMTs.
As far as the number of people altogether?
Paid EMTs, we have 5. It's Kyle, Eric, Damien, Cameron, and Sean, actually 6. And, I said Cameron. Sean's going out. Eric is going on vacation. So there are 2 of our EMTs that are going out. So those are our paid EMTs.
And the volunteer end of it, how many members, active members that participate?
There's a good 10 core members, probably got about 20. So
Well, anybody watching, I mean, I would plead to the community to,
we just got to remember that we just lost a meeting.
Right.
Driving force on Wednesday.
right.
So now we have to cover that shift too. It's volunteering shifts, and I think people are concerned about bonus.
Well, that's one of the things that I think is I'm very proud as an American is volunteerism in this country. I think there's not many other countries that do it the way we do. And I would just encourage anybody that could give, what's the minimum a week that you look for, like 4 hours or?
We're looking for 12 a week, that's in some places, and if you can't do that, we actually split up the hours if we can. So some people are doing that as many as they can. Then it comes to long duty, each Saturday you have to do a 7 to 7.
Right.
And it's not that many times in a year, maybe 3 and a quarter, that it works out to for each member. We cover Saturday night into Sunday morning. And most of the time, home, unfortunately.
Thank you. I would just encourage anybody in the community that could
I'd love to have you.
join. Jeff will train you. You get to be in a new ambulance, all these wonderful things, so.
Jeff, was there ever any decision or movement towards letting the high school, I believe 16-year-olds be EMTs like they do in Cornwall?
Also, Cody, we haven't had meetings that were essentially a couple. So the bylaws is coming up this current July.
Let's see the minutes.
Oh, the minutes?
And the people for all the student orders.
Oh, the agenda?
And it goes back to the vote.
Yeah, the reason I raised that question because I met a young man who just came up to me while I was the guest speaker at Black History Month at O'Neill, and the young man was already an EMT or he was qualified to be a volunteer in Cornwall.
You can keep it.
And so he was living here, wondering why he couldn't participate here. And so I know Jeff is working towards, because I think the fire department is 16 for their volunteers. Okay. All right, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Does any board member have any public comment from the outside? Okay. I have the minutes of the June 8th meeting. Someone like to approve them?
Make a motion, we approve the June 8th meetings.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried, thank you.
Again, thank you, June, for sending them electronically.
Communications, I don't have, oh, you know what, I can put this under communications. On March the 7th, 2020, the governor of New York State declared a state of emergency for New York in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. On March the 13th, the President of the United States declared a national emergency in response to the pandemic. On March the 13th, Orange County declared a county disaster state of emergency in response to the pandemic. On the 17th of March 2020, I, town supervisor, declared a state of emergency in the town of Highlands due to the COVID-19 pandemic emergency. This state of emergency has been extended by me on April the 16th, May the 17th, and June the 15th. Unless canceled earlier or extended, a state of emergency lasts for 30 days. In each case, the Orange County Clerk has been notified by email. The state of emergency grants powers to me as Chief Executive to issue emergency orders as may be necessary to protect the health and well-being of the residents and request emergency assistance and resources for the town residents and businesses from the county, the state, and the federal governments. Signed by me. I mainly wanted to get that into the minutes, into the record, because it won't be too long and we're going to be asking for some refund of funds that we've spent for the emergency through either the county, the state, or the federal government. So I want to make sure I got all my T's crossed and I's dotted and ready to go.
Good.
And actually, I got a copy for you guys.
Do you want this? I'll get that.
Okay, financial reports. We paid out $21,186 to cover the last check run, which was dated June the 10th. The bigger items were O&R at $2,060. The legal department, $5,889. And Royal Carding, $2,360 for landfill charges. Any questions on what we paid out? Okay, board liaison reports.
I'd just like to
Barry?
say again, as I did, like to thank all. Oh,
Forgot.
Health insurance?
Oh, I'll get to it.
Okay. Go ahead, I'm sorry, Councilman Perry.
No, it's good. I'm glad you reminded me, but
okay.
thank you. Go ahead.
I was just thanking again all government employees, all municipal workers for all the work that they're doing under extreme times, village and the town. And as far as I'm aware, things are being taken care of, and just like to say thank you. And that's all.
Thank you. Councilman Sullivan.
Okay. So let's see. The Community Environmental Advisory Committee met on May 12th using Zoom remotely, or excuse me, on June, whatever the second Friday in June was. Olga would like to have some cadets in the future when things clear up come speak about biodigesters. We continued our discussion about community choice aggregation. The farmer's market was going to open and has been open. I think it's only open till 1 o'clock though, right? Not 2?
Not sure.
I think I've seen it advertised too. I think it's only open till 1, to clarify that. There was some discussion, because there were some public hearings going on with the Thayer Flats as to whether or not there was any green into it. I understand that there's some rainwater capturing to be reused built into it. Aside from that, I don't know much more. With the Zoning Board of Appeals, I'm very pleased to see Kelly here. This young lady's done an outstanding job having all these WebEx meetings. On June 17th, last Wednesday, there was the public hearing for the Deborah Copeland interpretation. I thought it was done very professionally. They closed the public hearing with, I think, a 10-day submission period for certain things that I'm not sure what they were. I don't want to make any errors. Considering the constraints with having to use WebEx, everybody was connected. Took Joe McCormick a few minutes to get on, but it went very well. I thought it was done very professionally. I know you put a lot of time into it. And the very next night, the planning board had their public hearing on Thayer Flats. Is that public hearing over with, or is that still open?
That is over, that was closed that evening.
Okay, I didn't, after the night before, I didn't really, want to go past my bedtime watching the meeting, so, okay. That's it for the zoning board of appeals. In the building department, Bruce doesn't like me to tell when he comes in on Saturdays, but he has been coming in on Saturdays. I get calls from people saying, what about this and what about that? And I'll be specific, the Latter-day Saints had some issues that they were worried about. He came in on Saturday. They know what they need to do. He's given good service. I know that sometimes when you have a planning board engineer and a village engineer and all that, he's doing the best he can to keep that all cleaned up. And I told him as far as the entry doorway, so that every town hall employee feels safe when they come here. People are going to have to get buzzed into the building in the future. I think that's only about a week away before it'll be getting installed. He got some prices. We allowed $9,000. It'll come in for around that amount of money. And so that will be done so that people can feel safe. However, we choose to utilize protocol in the building after we open up. Down at the sewer plant, I was down there. I'll let Bob speak to it because I haven't been around. I was down there tonight. I see there's not a lot of action going on. I don't know how much we can talk about publicly. Is our FC funding okay? I'll let you speak to all that stuff.
Okay. Well, I'm going to pass the buck on that, but go ahead. Councilman King.
Good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. First, I'll start with the emergency management liaison, Mr. Kurt Hahn. So Kurt has said that he would like for, to your earlier point, Mr. Supervisor, he would like to gather information from all departments related to COVID-19, specific activities and expenses. This information would be for potential FEMA reimbursement. So Kurt is already moving in that direction. This applies to all municipalities. And, typically, I guess, the municipalities would have to submit this stuff to county, and then county submit it on behalf. But apparently this go-round, it's going to be individual municipalities. So we have to collect all that data up for ourselves.
Does that work, Kelly? Is that?
I believe that we're on board with Mike Sweeney, who's put together sort of a consortium of municipalities related to FEMA, COVID reimbursements. And I've also sent around something to the departments early on about tracking their expenses and their time. So hopefully, most departments have been marking their vouchers as COVID-19 supplies, so we should be able to put something together for that.
Okay, good. So I'll meet with Kurt probably in the next week or so. We start to define what it is that we want to get done. Second is recreation. Recreation continues to develop a summer schedule. It's going to announce, the services related to that soon. But just know that he's continuing to develop a plan for a summer program for the youth. He's currently working on staffing lifeguards. And so with that being said, he's processing applications. So anybody interested in being a lifeguard, now's the time to get in your application. And he's also working with the county to get the lifeguards certified. We talked about the ambulance corps already, and just happy to note that the ambulance is finally near us somewhere. Dial-a-bus. Dial-a-bus, once again, the audit is complete. Still closing out the last comments that we have to provide to the folks that done that in that process. And Colleen has been aware of that. I talked to her earlier today, so there's no issues there. Ridership. It's relatively slow. Obviously, we got COVID-19 that impacted the ridership, but given the fact we're in COVID-19 and the people are still using it, tells you the significance of that that resource.
Here.
So good call on the supervisor part to get that out there because folks are using it. I just want to commend the community members out there. Thank you so much for your continued resilience. You know, to be involved in this time in our lives with COVID-19 and all the restrictions and all the things that change our lives around, and we don't have any major incidents in our community. We don't have any, major problems. We've shown things that demonstrate unity, i.e. the Black Lives Matter March a couple weeks ago. We had so much diversity and so much unity, and that we did it peacefully exhibits this resilience that I'm talking about. Secondly, we had Friday was the 155th anniversary of the commemoration of Juneteenth. So that was the 155th time that it was celebrated nationally. Here in the town of Highlands, we celebrated it for the fifth annual Juneteenth was able to be pulled off during COVID-19, which even myself was trying to figure out how could we do it. But with technology, we were able to get a Zoom meeting with about 60 people on that Zoom, and to include the chief was on that Zoom and many other community members, the superintendent of schools. We had Senator Skoufis, we had Assemblyman Colin Schmidt, and many others that just wanted to come together and commemorate freedom and the end of slavery in the United States of America. So I felt proud about that, the fact that our community comes together for those types of events. And then lastly, I would say that belated Happy Father's Day to everybody here. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir.
And Happy Father's Day to everybody at home, too.
Before I've got a few things to say, but Kelly, let's get you home. So our health insurance is due. We distributed the plans, and Kelly, if you would.
So, our health insurance is up for renewal.
Kelly, you can pull that down so we can hear you better, if you want.
Is that better?
There you go.
Okay, so our health insurance is up for renewal, and MVP, our broker, sent 3 different proposals for health insurance, and I'm happy to say that the one that renews the plan that we currently have had the smallest increase in it, which would be 6% higher than the prior year, than this year that's ending. The other proposals that they sent were 8% and 7%, I believe. They were higher increases.
And the raise we've budgeted for?
We budgeted for a 10% increase.
Okay.
So it's good news that it's only going up by 6%. Last year it went up by 8%. So I think that's really good. The vision and dental coverage, which the town does not contribute to, that's employee only paid, and they both stayed flat. There was no increase for vision, no increase for dental for the employees, and they picked up the whole portion of that. And the plan expires August 31st. Hopefully you'll be able to vote on it tonight, otherwise at the next board meeting, so we can get the paperwork out to the employees and get the plan in place in a timely manner. The other thing that's up for renewal is our workman's comp policy, which expires July 30th. And believe it or not, our workman's comp policy for the upcoming year increased by $508. And we budgeted for a 2% increase. So that's also good news that went down. And that one's even more timely because it expires June 30th. They just sent me the paperwork last week on that. But I think with the decrease in the policy, I see why we would just renew it.
Do we need to wait till the next meeting? I think you've gotten this information.
I can email it.
I don't know if you want to look it over again or accept the recommendation from Kelly on the MVP.
Current plan. It's a high deductible plan. The other proposals, the deductible is even higher than the one that we currently have. After the deductible is met, which the town pays for, then there's co-pays. The employees have a debit card that's slightly overfunded, and it usually covers their co-pays. It's worked out well over the last years. I think the employees have been happy with it. I'm very pleased with the price they came up with this year for the plan. And if the employees don't reach the deductible, there's no out-of-pocket to the town doesn't pay the whole deductible, only that
Right.
portion that's used.
So in short, the 6% increase one that you're recommending, the employees will see no difference in their coverage. It's just,
No difference in their coverage.
just a matter of 6% more cost to the town.
Correct.
Okay.
And to them.
And to them.
They pay a percentage of the
Mhm.
premium, so their contribution towards their health insurance will go up.
I'd make a motion that we accept continue with the policy that we have with the health insurance. Maintain it.
I have a motion.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And is that for the workman's comp as well?
Well, we're gonna, the workman's comp, which decreased in price, would anybody like to renew that policy?
Who's the workers' comp with, Kelly? I mean,
It's Marshall and Sterling is the broker, and the carrier is Comp Alliance, New York State Comp Alliance.
I'll make that motion too, that we continue.
And
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
So carried. Thank you very much. And Kelly, thank you for your research. and-
I know, Kelly, you've been buried and you've done a fantastic job. So it's only gonna be a month from now until Kelly's gonna email all this stuff to get our budgets together. Sometime in the next month, we're gonna have to have a little bit of a reality discussion on where our revenues are at.
Correct.
I'm not really looking forward to it, but it needs to be done. And,
Finish the month of June, I'm going to put out a revenue report and an expense report, because there are some expenses that went down or weren't incurred at all. So it's not as drastic on the expense side as it is on the revenue side, so that we can see, start to take a look at where we are in this process. We've had other expenses this year too that were unexpected. Just the expenses in purchasing hand sanitizer and disinfectant, for everybody. So there are those things too. So I'll send something out, some sort of summary, probably the second week of July, and the budget will be right behind that.
Thank you. As most of us know, tomorrow on the governor's plan for COVID-19, we will be entering Phase 3. Phase 3, among other things, brings us in the town hall and the town departments to 100%, where he had us do 50% come to work and the other 50% stay home. Beginning tomorrow, the 100% can come to work. I notified everyone by email because I got this information from Senator Skoufis. So I told everybody today they got to be in tomorrow, even the ones that planned on being off. So we're gonna work with our employees and personal services also on the outside, commercial. With very few exceptions, they'll be opening up. The nail people and massages and all these different personal services will be opening up. Ty, I've been kind of taking care of the two parks, and I know you're recreation, and I hope you don't mind, but it's my backyard, those parks. So tomorrow, we're going to open up the playground in the park. Along with pools, once we get the permission from, or the inspection and permission from the county, we'll be able to open up the pool in Roe Park. But until we get that, we can't open that. So that's Phase 3. But I'd like to stress to everyone, wearing these masks and keeping social distances is still required, even in Phase 3. For instance, if you come into my restaurant and you don't have a mask on, you're going back out the door. That's just the way it is. Some places may have a mask for you. I may have a mask for you. But in public, in gatherings, in Roe Park, in Brooks's Park, you need to wear a mask. Social distancing, 6 foot, sometimes it's difficult, but it's not difficult if you have a mask on, then you can kind of fudge a little bit. So please, the mask and social distancing is still required in phase 3.
Bob, I know you're not real big on social media. If you were, you'd see the people that are just blasting people in New York for how we have King Cuomo, whatever you want, all these things that we're doing. I saw the other day where the states of Florida and Arizona had to cancel baseball because of their spikes. And New York is doing just fine coming out of this. So for 3 months, we made a couple of sacrifices. I think we've done it intelligently, and I think we're going to come out of it in one shot very decently, because I made about 50 masks going with my girlfriend, so that's...
So, anything on that? That's all good.
No, I concur with Councilman Sullivan that it appears that while other parts of the country are now spiking, you know, unfortunately, looks like we're coming to the other side of this thing, and we just got to maintain what we've done to get to this point. And that requires us to still be disciplined. So this too shall pass. Stay hopeful, but be mindful that this thing is still out there.
Oh, yeah. And it's still very dangerous to the elderly. And you will see the elderly, they've always got masks on. The younger people, it's hit and miss, but they really should be wearing it. If not just to protect their parents, grandparents, and such, they should be wearing a mask. Justin, do you have anything for me, sir?
I didn't know if you wanted me to comment on the sewer plant that Councilman Sullivan
Yes.
raised. I wasn't aware that action had slowed down there. They did provide a schedule. They should be working. There is paperwork that is due and owing to the town from TAM, the primary contractor, that we must then submit to the EFC in order to release funding.
You still don't have that?
I still do not have that. On Friday, today is Monday, on Friday, the project engineer, Al Fusco, promised me that TAM had communicated that they understood and they would be delivering it, but I've not seen it.
Okay.
I'll follow up with the engineer again tomorrow morning. To everyone's benefit, obviously, they want to do the work, and we want to pay them for the work, so hopefully we'll clarify that. Beyond that, I'm working again on your solar legislation, town board and supervisor, and you can pass that on to Olga at the advisory committee.
Okay, I think getting rid of the sludge right now is costing us 13.5 cents per gallon. That's about $3,000 a week. That's until somewhere around January or February, when the plant gets running on the belt. So it's an expense that I didn't anticipate. It's not in the contract, and I don't know if it would have been in the contract, but
I would like to say that it should have been, and it wasn't. So anybody watching from the profession just had to get over what I said. It's a lot of money. There's only 385 parcels in that district paying for it. It's going to be a tough hit.
Yeah.
And 3,000 a week, like you say, up until January to do that. You know, I don't want to get myself in trouble commenting too much. I'll just say I have a bunch of vouchers I know you've asked me to look at. I'm no longer going to worry about the declining balance. I guess that's all been pretty much sum zero, and you're going forward from there. I'll look at them, legitimize that the work actually happened, and sign them from that point.
I got one today, as a matter of fact. I'll send it to you tomorrow.
Okay.
But I can't pay anything. The CFC isn't.
Is that the one I signed, or
No, it's a
another
different
one?
one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I signed one on getting rid of the grits and rags.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
what, 3,000 or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was 3,800. That's not part of the project though.
Right.
To your point, Supervisor, I mean, I do think, once we get over this initial hurdle and have all the documentation executed, the engineer and the project team can look at that schedule, see if anything can be done about, and I don't know, right, based on what needs to go in what sequence, but maybe that belt press can be earlier in the process or whatever the case may be. And then obviously, all of the budgeting has been figured on sort of a worst-case scenario, which does include contingent funds. Doesn't mean we want to have to go into the contingent funds, because otherwise the tax effect would come down. But the budgeting was all done with the full amount being expended, including the contingency. So that can be looked at for that. Obviously, we're right at the infancy of the project, so we don't want to rush right into using contingent funds, but maybe that over time, if things are progressing, that could handle some of those expenditures.
Good.
Yeah.
Anything else? Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion that we adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Chief, thank you very much for your presence.